This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a review of Hail Mary, Project Hail Mary. I have the poster. Doesn't mean I'm a shill for MGM or anything. Totally not. Yeah, hold it upside down. Yeah. And now YouTube will flag it for using art from the movie for a few seconds. So yeah. And then before I went to the movie, I was thinking back to having seen Andy Weir at a couple of conventions, and a memorable one from a couple of times ago. I wrote The Martian. Someone in the audience, was not me, someone who had written one fan story or something and wanted to know whether Hollywood would steal his idea. And he said, "You're not famous, so no one will steal your idea." Yeah. I guess I'm famous. Yeah. But yes, no. Yeah, so. Kind of kidding. Yeah. Kind of kidding. So, not really. I like some of my short stories. I couldn't have read them. Space-Time, my compilation. So you could have read that. But yeah, just probably not. But I adapted Book 1 of Space-Time, my compilation, including a story that was similar to this one. So, yeah, as Warp Cores, yeah. Starship Locations, Warp Cores. So the chapter's similar to that. One of the episodes in there. Yeah. Universe threatening kind of thing going on, and then wacky hijinks ensue as the last guy on the ship deals with the alien, has to communicate, and tries to get back to Earth. Is a plot also similar to Farscape. I didn't have anything to do with Farscape, but similar to that. Although, yeah, of course, the John Campea show thought it was the greatest thing ever and said, "Oh, Oscar worthy." Actually, we're in March, so it's not Oscar worthy. They won't even. Oscar will not even remember it. They won't. They won't remember it. And there could be a tangent about the Oscars and why they don't work. But we won't go into that necessarily. Suffice to say, the Oscars are out of touch. The Oscars go after movies that aren't making a lot of money, and they should go after the movies that are. And they should have categories. So you can have your weepy drama movies. They all love those. You have your slow-paced weepy drama movies, fine. But you also need to say, all right, you have drama, you got comedy, you got sci-fi or fantasy, you got horror. Those are all movies categories at the Oscars. And it should be shorter, not 3 hours long. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. And they should actually watch more than 15 minutes of the movie. They still do not. It's been 30 years, or over 30 years since that rant came about. In the early days of the internet. And yeah, they don't watch the movies. They just watch pieces of them and go, "Oh, look, this is the best ever." Which explains some of those Oscar winners from the 90s and 2000s. They didn't watch them. Anyway, so on to this movie, which they were saying, "Oh, Oscar worthy." Oscar worthy? No, not really. I mean, no. Yeah. For the puppeteering of the rock creature, I guess. Some of the visuals, I guess, but certainly not the story. Yeah, it's reminiscent of The Martian. You already did this kind of story. A guy alone. In this case, it's a guy alone, but a rock shows up. It also has that oddity that was also the case with Three Body Problem, in that the science is weird. In the Three Body Problem, the science is weird because it's supposed to be Alpha Centauri, the Trisolarians, Alpha Centauri, and it's not an example of the Three Body Problem. Proxima orbits in such a wide orbit, 550 AU, around those other two stars. It's out in the Oort cloud of the other two stars, so it never contacts them. So that's not the three-body problem. The stars A and B orbit between 30 and 80 AU, roughly the distance of Jupiter and Saturn. Almost Neptune in the solar system. Alpha Centauri A and B should be fine, approximate. It's not examples of three-body problem. Same thing here, in that weird science. The whole premise of the book and this movie is an astrophage. An alien race is apparently, with god-tier powers apparently, has gone into the universe and is attaching lifelines to stars to suck the energy out of a star, in this case, and then go to Venus with it, and it's sucking out the life energy of a star. Now I understand, as a science fiction fantasy person who's done 40 books, 20-something of which are science fiction. I get it. I'm not that famous, though. Famous enough to get a little bit cribbed here. I wouldn't have done that in my book. A rock creature? I don't know if I've done a rock creature. That's different enough. But a creature ship. It looked like one of those. It looked a little like the bio ship as well. So he's aware of our stuff, seen our models, and he's like, oh, I want to use that bio ship. Yeah. Mm. And the Hail Mary itself looks a bit like the earlier versions of the Endeavour, the Canary spaceship. The newer version looks more blocky, but that version is. It's a coincidence, I think. They were trying for a realistic pod bay rocket modular ship. We were two, but we couldn't do round cylindrical pods, so I made my models look more square because we couldn't do the pod thing. They would have been rounder, but it's different. This macrophage thing is attaching a star. Now, I know there's been a couple of sci-fi movies that have done something. Sunshine, sci-fi movie, did that as well. Some alien forces attacking a star. That makes no sense at all. And he's a scientist, and he wanted to do the Artemis project. We're going to name the Artemis Moon Project after him. After his book, Artemis. And they ended up not doing that, and they ended up shelving the project. But it's like you can't have a sun-destroying weapon. It's ludicrous. It's as ludicrous as a universe-destroying weapon. You really can't. I know that Star Trek Generations did it, and I know that some other Star Trek stuff, and some Star Wars stuff did it. But you really can't. A star is so much bigger than a planet that it would be not even a scratch on the surface. The fact that they figure out that this phage stuff is also a fuel is odd, and can be stopped by a predatory fuel species that is stopped in the micro size. So it's the supermolecule, Mark Card's supermolecule attack thing from one of the short stories as well. It's that too. But he didn't blow up a star, he blew up Jupiter. Andy Weir's homage to Space-Time is fine. I think I'm somewhere in the credits, so it's great. Andy Weir's, yeah. That's fine. But yeah, the idea of this thing attaching to stars, and that they could see other stars dimming from it, which they wouldn't be able to. You'd see them as they were years ago, light speed and all that. They already, makes sense. I get what he's doing. He probably saw stuff about that Trappist star, and later on Betelgeuse, which I think was after the book came out. But yeah, that was not. Yeah, space phage. And how would it be microscopic and then not microscopic? How would it be a fuel? It makes no sense that it would be a fuel. It doesn't make sense. And then you have your the international organization that puts him on the ship. The other astronauts die on the ship, and he's going to go on the spaceship to try and find out why Tau Ceti is the one star that doesn't have the astrophage. They go to Tau Ceti. So it's a little bit Life Probe, one of those book series from back in the 80s. It's a little bit life pro. Which is also, it's the star in the original Canary Space book, the Distant Destinies book, is Tau Ceti. That's where the cat guys are from. Dead Grimace is Tau Ceti. So that's kind of weird. Planet they go to at the end is Epsilon Eridani. They don't say it in the story, but it's Epsilon Eridani. Yeah, B. That one looks more like that. The green planet does look like Optera, which is cool. Yeah. So he goes into space. Astronaut guy goes into space. Spoilers. The other crewmen die, but they don't explain how. Did they just kill themselves before they got there? What happened? Why are they dead? They never explain that. They have a lot of flashbacks, which is fine. It reminded me of that show Defying Gravity, which came up before they had song Defying Gravity. It was a Canadian sci-fi show that did something like that. They did one season. Sort of like Canadian Firefly. But it was in space in the solar system. They don't explain how the ship can go superliminal, how it could go faster than light. It can get to Tau Ceti in 4 years. How they did that. How the coma thing would work, how the sleep chamber thing would work. How the robot would get them out of there. Yeah, so there is some science in there, but some of it isn't. It's goofy. Yeah, and then they're on the way to Tau Ceti E, and there's a planet, and yeah, and they're gonna go to that. I don't know if the planet is in the habitable zone. Maybe it is, but I don't know what it is. In any space it is. They find the predator species of microbes that have macro. That's just weird. If they have a device that's shooting a giant laser beam effectively, plasma beam, from a star to a planet, that thing is not micro-sized, it's huge, because they would be able to see it. And they show it as a huge thing, it's macro-sized, it's gigantic, it's the size of, it's the width and diameter of a small planet going over the star. And it's like how would they, how does that go micro-sized? Then they have like little versions of the alien. Yeah, like didn't really make sense. Wouldn't it immediately destroy the petri dish if it was so powerful that it could destroy other things really rapidly, like the metal in that one scene? Wouldn't him putting it on the petri dish melt the desk? Go right through the desk. Anyway. So he gets to the planet, he meets up with this rock creature, and they attempt to communicate using signs and signals, and then learning his language through his vocalizations, the rock creature. He names it Rocky, and has a mate. He names it Adrian. It's off screen. It's not shown until the very end. It does kind of follow the book. But they condense it down to 2.5 hours. He's just named that because he's a rock creature. I want to know how his digits would work, though. He suddenly has the ability to form other things. There's also some. Is it xenon? I think he has like solid xenon abilities. He's got programmable matter basically from Star Trek, and he's using that to create stuff and send it back and forth. He's an intelligent, sentient being. That scene is clever. Well done science fiction story, trying to have the guy talk to the other one and then eventually have him have a voice. That was clever. There are clever moments. I mean, it's not a bad movie. That's fine. It's not Oscar worthy though. Maybe for the visuals. Maybe that's it. And Ryan Gosling, is fine. A perfectly acceptable Oscar winning guy. He's been in stuff. So yeah, it's a perfectly acceptable popcorn sci-fi movie. It's fine. I didn't mind the guy's dialogue with the robot, the rock creature, and all that. That was probably the more uplifting parts were the ones where they're communicating with it. And they used a practical effect and also some CG effects. They used a practical puppet kind of thing, and they had various other versions of it that they could mess with in CG as well. If it's MGM, it's Amazon, so it was an Amazon movie. Yeah, it was probably supposed to be released to streaming, but they put it in theaters. Yeah, so and you could tell at the end when they had the credits with the shimmering things in the background. It was done as an IMAX movie, but I saw the slightly smaller XD version, which was fine. Yeah, and yeah, it was fine, salvageable. This being the last review in Milpitas, it's kind of like here's the last review. It's the Hail Mary movie, and then move on from there, and yeah, it's going to be this weird little science fiction movie. Yeah, so so that other guy wasn't famous at the thing I was. Yeah. No, it's not that close. It isn't really that close. Yeah. Ryan Gosling kind of playing Mako a little bit. Kind of works. Kind of does. Now, if you want an older Mako, Pedro Pascal. That would make a little more sense. But yeah, he's the younger Mako. He's not really. But yeah, yeah, there's some goofy. The agency, like at the end he like tries to chicken out, and the agency grabs him and puts him in there. Is that why the other ones died? Because they knew that he grabbed him? Because they didn't explain that. That was odd. Yeah, and you can't have a space virus thing attacking a star. That doesn't make any sense. Aliens would be wiped out the minute it touches the corona of the star. It would be destroyed. The corona's millions of times. He should know that. It's Andy Weir, come on. But he doesn't, apparently. The human race is threatened. Reunite the sun. I take it they're going to reunite the sun once they have the information, which apparently they imply that they have it. They set it up for a sequel. They didn't want to do the Artemis one first. They want to do this one first. Yeah, because the Artemis thing kind of fell apart. So, anyway, so that was Hail Mary. Yeah. Project Hail Mary. It's named after the ship. Story that they throw in a quasi-religious song in the end credits. Although a Hail Mary doesn't refer to doesn't refer to religious thing, actually. A Hail Mary is a football play in which it's the Russian pray play in which they basically, well, it's kind of religious, like pseudo-religious, I guess. The Hail Mary pass is when you're down completely and your team's gonna screw the pooch, and your only chance is to do a Hail Mary pass to try and throw into the end zone so you can get the other guy out. That's what a Hail Mary pass is. It has nothing really to do with religion. Just throw the ball and hope somebody catches it and does a touchdown. That's a Hail Mary. There were some kind of Kal Kat references too. Some of the jokes, some of the stuff in it, witticisms. Nothing I can point out though. Scratching the arm thing, that's kind of collector thing, fishing thing. Yeah, they collect a predatory version of the other species, which also would eat the microscope and the microscope plate as well. And they're going to grow more of them in the breeding thing, and how does that work? And then there was a problem with it, and Yeah. Yeah. They were trying to grow more of the predatory amoeba, which they call tau amoeba. Yeah, they can't manufacture that on Earth. Just, yeah. But yeah, how would a microbe turn into a macrobe, so to speak, and go after? How does it make any sense? Science is completely bullshit. Oh well, it's a science fiction movie. Just fine. Okay, you didn't mean to call Three Body Problem Planet Tell City. Okay, fine. Um, but they do this kind of stuff in the other shows. It gets kind of. At least Starfleet Academy did not end with them actually using the super weapon to start another space burn. And then they stopped it, basically. Turned it off. Yeah, that's what I would have done. And that's had nothing to do with this, though. Kind of does, but in that similar plot. Yeah, Farscape. Farscape. A little bit like Farscape. Which is a guy with a lot of puppets flying around the ship. Mm. Yeah, so. Yeah. I got nothing more. I mean, Hail Mary. Anyway, sorry.